She kept the box near the mirror. Not hidden, not displayed either, just close enough. Beside the comb, beside the folded cloth, beside the little dish of pins. The room was cold that morning. The mirror had cloudy edges. She leaned toward it anyway. Everyone leaned toward mirrors, even bad ones, especially bad ones. The box looked clean, blue and white, sometimes, neat, almost medical, and on some boxes, the words were very clear: arsenic complexion wafers. A strange phrase to print calmly, but it was printed. The word arsenic sat there, not hidden, not whispered, just part of the promise. Better skin, a clearer face, a fairer complexion, a softer look, something more refined. The wafers were small, pale, easy to hold. They did not look dangerous. They looked measured. That helped. Danger feels more reasonable when it comes in portions. 2. 1 wafer. 1 morning. 1 instruction. 1 small decision. She opened the box carefully. Inside were enough wafers for weeks. Enough to become familiar. Enough to stop feeling like a choice. She lifted one. A small white answer. For freckles. For redness. For blemishes. For the face in the mirror. She placed it on her tongue. No drama. No sudden understanding. Just a woman swallowing something because the label sounded certain. Then the morning continued. The drawer closed. The basin was emptied. Someone moved downstairs. A kettle began its small work. Outside, the street sounded ordinary. That was the important part. Poison did not enter the house as poison. It entered as improvement. It entered with a doctor's name, with a clean label, with a printed guarantee, with words like safe and harmless. People like those words. They make the hand steadier. They make risk feel supervised. A signature helped. A medical title helped. A proper box helped. The product did not need to look beautiful. It only needed to look trustworthy. The first time, she may have read every word. The 5th time, probably less. By then, the motion had learned for her. Open the box. Take the wafer. Swallow. Check the mirror. Continue. That is how many routines are built. Not from belief, from repetition. The face in the mirror was not just a face. It was a social signal. A pale complexion suggested refinement, indoor life, softness, a body protected from sun, from weather, from visible labor. That mattered. It should not have, but it did. A woman's skin could be judged before she spoke. Too flushed, too marked, too dark, too plain, too much of something, not enough of something else. Beauty did not always give direct orders. It usually arrived as advice, a look, a comment, a comparison. A friend may have mentioned the wafers first, not dramatically. Maybe during tea, maybe while removing gloves. Maybe near a window where the light was too honest. She might have said her cousin had tried them, or that someone in town looked much improved, or that they were common now. Common. That word does a lot of work. Common means other people survived it, or seemed to. Common means worrying becomes unfashionable. Common means hesitation starts to feel strange. The friend did not need to insist. She only had to sound casual. The subject changed. Someone poured tea. A spoon touched porcelain. The room continued. Then later, alone at the mirror, the advice returned. That happens. People dismiss things in company, then remember them alone, especially before glass, especially in bad light, especially after someone else has been praised, so she bought the box, or ordered it, or received it. The exact path matters less than what happened after. The first wafer had tension. The second had less. The third had almost none. By the time the box felt lighter, the decision had become maintenance. Maintenance sounds responsible, calm, adult. A woman maintaining her complexion was not poisoning herself. She was taking care. She was preserving appearances. She was doing what the room expected, and the room expected a lot. The parlor expected it. The dining room expected it. The church expected it. The shop window expected it. Other women expected it most carefully. A compliment could arrive before concern did. You look well. You look paler. Your skin is clearer. Whatever you are doing, it suits you. The woman smiled, because what else was there? A compliment is not an accusation. That makes it difficult. It rewards the process before anyone asks the cost. At dinner, someone may have noticed she was eating less, but appetite was awkward, especially for women, especially at a table. So the concern softened. You seem tired. Perhaps the weather, perhaps nerves. Nerves were very useful. The 19th century had many bottles and many nerves. Between them, most discomfort could be named without being understood. She may have felt nausea, maybe faintness after standing, a dryness in the mouth, a strange weakness, maybe nothing clear at first. Bodies do not always protest plainly. Sometimes they negotiate. They give small signs, signs that can be blamed on breakfast, heat, tight clothing, bad sleep, bad air, or simply being delicate. There was always somewhere else to put the blame. That helped the box. The box stayed clean. The body became complicated. A maid may have noticed more. Servants often did. They saw what polite company missed. The basin, the cloth, the half-eaten breakfast. The drawer opened too often, the woman standing still before going downstairs. But noticing is not speaking. There were ranks in a house. Silence often followed them. A maid could fold the cloth, carry the tray, empty the basin, remember, then say nothing. Not because nothing was wrong, because the house had rules. The pharmacy helped too. Pharmacies often did. Rows of bottles, paper packets, glass jars, a counter wiped clean. The smell of alcohol, soap, dust, and herbs. A woman could ask softly. The pharmacist might not react. That helped more than he knew. Cow. When someone treats a purchase as ordinary, the customer usually follows. He wrapped the box. Once. Then again. Coins crossed the counter. Another customer waited behind her. Outside, someone complained about rain. The box went into her bag, just like soap, just like tooth powder, just like any small domestic item. That is how harm gets manners. It learns the gestures of shopping. It accepts coins. It comes wrapped. It waits quietly until needed. The wafers were not alone. There were arsenical soaps too, medicated soaps, doctor names, scientific phrases, things meant to be rubbed on skin, or swallowed, or trusted. Advertisements did the rest. They appeared in newspapers, catalogs, magazine pages. They did not need to explain everything, only enough. Clear complexion, freckles removed, safe, harmless, a delicate improvement, a refined face. On the page, the product sat near other ordinary things: fabric, shoes, soap, hair tonic. Complexion wafers. Dangerous things benefit from harmless company. A product surrounded by normal objects borrows their calm. Nothing screams. The page is orderly. The room is quiet. The advertisement waits. Beauty advertising understands patience. It does not need immediate belief. It only needs to be available when doubt arrives. And doubt often arrives near a mirror. So the woman takes another wafer, then another, not because she is foolish, because the process has reasons. A spot has faded. Maybe. Someone praised her. Definitely. The label promises safety. The dose is small. Other women use it. The pharmacist did not hesitate. Her face looks better in certain light. That is enough evidence for a tired person. Most people do not live by truth. They live by enough. Enough proof. Enough approval. Enough improvement. Enough silence from others. The mirror becomes part of the loop. Morning. Wafer. Mirror. Dressing. Breakfast. Comment. Fatigue. Excuse. Evening. Mirror again. No one calls it a loop. They call it taking care. They call it beauty. They call it a regimen. Regimen sounds disciplined, almost moral. The word complexion did much of the work. It was not poison, it was complexion, not damage, improvement, not fear, care. Then the body asks again, not dramatically. Bodies rarely begin with drama. A hand grips the chair. A walk upstairs takes longer. A letter remains unfinished. The woman touches her cheek as if checking a promise. The skin may look clearer, or simply paler. The distinction matters less when everyone praises the result. At tea, another woman notices. She asks what has changed. The question sounds friendly. It may also be competitive. Women were not allowed to compete openly over everything, so they asked softly. They admired, they compared, they studied each other through manners. The woman may answer after a pause, only a new preparation, or nothing much, or a complexion wafer. The others listen. Someone smiles. Someone says she has heard of them. Someone says they are safe if taken correctly. There it is. The phrase that protects so many bad ideas. If taken correctly, if used properly, if one is careful, if one does not overdo it, the blame is placed early on the future patient. Very efficient. If something goes wrong, perhaps she used too much. Perhaps she was delicate. Perhaps she misunderstood. Perhaps she should have known. The product remains dignified. The woman becomes the problem. At the table, no one says this directly. They do not need to. They pass the sugar. The cups are refilled. A child is told not to interrupt. Outside, the afternoon continues. The scene is almost pleasant. That is what makes it useful. Harm does not always look like misery. Sometimes it looks like tea, gloves, and a small secret shared among women who want to be seen kindly. By the Motngin Tam Chum Chin Muis, products like these were being sold openly. Boxes, soaps, wafers, preparations. A dangerous ingredient became a beauty category. Not everywhere, not for everyone, but enough to be named, enough to be packaged, enough to be defended, enough to leave objects behind. A sealed box, a price, a guarantee, a doctor's signature, a set of wafers for better skin. The box looks calm today. That is the strange part. It does not look ashamed. Objects never do. They simply wait for someone else to explain them. The woman in the room had no museum label. She had a morning, a mirror, a standard, a body, a box. She had reasons. That does not make the wafer safe. It only makes the scene human. People often imagine the past as a place full of foolish strangers. That is comfortable. It keeps the mirror clean. But the past was mostly people making reasonable decisions inside unreasonable systems. A pale face mattered. A doctor's name mattered. A guarantee mattered. A friend's recommendation mattered. A compliment mattered. Embarrassment mattered. All of it pressed gently against one small decision. Swallow. Continue. Smile. Still, life continued. Letters were written. Curtains were shaken. Coal was ordered. Dresses were brushed. Visitors came. Pharmacies opened. Advertisements ran again. Some warnings existed. They usually do. Someone always notices. A doctor, a reformer, a journalist, a patient, a servant, a relative. The problem is not that nobody sees the harm. The problem is that seeing has to compete. With usefulness, with beauty, with money, with habit, with embarrassment, with the fact that the product is already on the shelf, and shelves are powerful. Once something has a place, removing it feels like a decision. Leaving it there feels like nothing. So it stays. Behind the basin, inside the drawer, near the mirror, close enough for morning. The woman may decide to stop. After the box, after the visit, after her skin improves. After the season, after people stop commenting, there is always a clean future where the habit ends. The present is less clean. The present has invitations, bad light, and a face that does not look the way it is supposed to look. So another wafer. A small one. Only one. The language of moderation is very useful when the thing itself is wrong. Only one. Only sometimes. only until it works, only because it is safe, only because everyone says so. Then the box grows lighter. The body grows quieter, not peaceful, quieter. There is a difference. Some women likely stopped. Some never used them. Some warned others. Some laughed at the idea. Some may have felt ill and understood why. Some may have felt ill and never connected it. History is uneven like that. It keeps the loud parts, the advertisements, the product names, the surviving boxes. It does not keep every woman standing at a washstand, wondering why her hands trembled. That part has to be approached carefully. Not invented, just approached. A woman rinses her mouth. The water is cold. She presses a cloth to her lips. Someone asks if she is ready. She says yes, because she is almost ready. Ready enough. Most social life runs on ready enough. She smooths her dress, checks her face, notices the paleness, feels uncertain, then goes downstairs. At the bottom, someone compliments her. That settles something. Not everything. Just enough. Enough for the box to remain near the mirror. Enough for the morning to repeat itself. Years later, regulators would look more closely at claims like safe and harmless. Some products would be challenged. Some labels would be questioned. Some boxes would stop moving through ordinary hands. But that came later. Later is a difficult word. It makes history look corrected. Inside the actual room, later had not arrived. The woman had only the label, the mirror, the standard, the friend's remark, the doctor's name, the small wafer, the morning. And mornings are persuasive. They ask people to begin again before they have understood yesterday. So she began. The comb passed through her hair. The drawer opened. The wafer touched her tongue. The box closed. Someone downstairs poured tea. The room remained cold. The mirror remained cloudy. The label remained calm. And after a while, even the word arsenic may have stopped sounding strange.